Hello all, welcome back to my show. This is Feature B here with another video, and in this video we're going to be doing some New Year's set of nails. So let's get into it. In this video I am doing my non-dominant hand. So in this video I also thought I would go over some tips for working with your non-dominant hand, because you're going to see the struggle bus that is working with the non-dominant hand. The funny thing is, I was watching YouTube the other day and I saw a video that Nails by Vic put out of her doing her non-dominant hand with polygel. And I was like, dang, I just recorded a video of me doing my non-dominant hand, and I was going to put out some of the same tips. Hers is a little different because I'm using acrylic and she's using polygel. But I was like, yeah, that was totally my idea. Like, everybody's doing this now because we want both of our hands done for the holiday season. But anyways, I'm going to be going over my tips for working with my non-dominant hand while also doing some New Year's Eve nails. Also, I did a video that I didn't put out last week that was of some Christmas nails, and I'm still debating whether I should edit that video and go ahead and put it out, because the nails are really cute. They're green. I really liked them. Maybe I'll still go ahead and put those out, but we're in the New Year's spirit. Okay, so as you've seen thus far, I did go ahead and apply my nail tips. I cut my thumbs and they're going to remain in a coffin shape. My other fingers are going to be in a stiletto shape. I always do my thumbnails shorter because I have trouble getting my credit card out of card readers whenever I don't. So that's why I always make my thumb different. Generally, it's a different shape. Generally, it's a lot shorter. Yeah, that's what's going on with my thumb. So now, working with my non-dominant hand. As you've already saw, I did my thumb. Now I'm working on my pointer. For most of the nails here, I'm going to be doing a 3-bead method. I'm going to be placing the first bead around the spot where the nail tip meets my nail. Then I'm going to do the tip of the nail, and then I'm going to go back and do a bead on the cuticle area, pushing that bead into the cuticle area, which is pretty normal, right? That's generally how you do nails when you're doing a 3-bead method. But what I do that is different is, instead of attempting to pick up a bead of acrylic with the brush in my non-dominant hand, I transfer the brush into my dominant hand, make sure that my liquid to powder ratio is right whenever I'm picking up that bead, and then I transfer my brush into the other hand. I think that is like a great tip, because it's hard. Like, my non-dominant hand, it just does its own thing. So I'm able to do what I know I can do with my dominant hand, transferring the brush back into my non-dominant hand, and then I place that bead on the nail. Tip number 2, make sure you're working with gravity, right? So it is hard to maneuver a bead of acrylic with my non-dominant hand. So instead of doing all of that, what I do is I place the bead on the nail, push it into the spot where it's supposed to be, and then I let gravity do the work. As you can see, gravity is moving the acrylic down the nail, helping me make sure that I have the correct consistency throughout, making sure that it's not too thick. I'm just making sure that the sides stay nice and thin, they stay nice and crisp. And that really does help. That's a lot of the work, because it is hard working with this hand. As you can tell, I'm not even holding my brush in the same way that I would with the other hand. And that's just what works for me. And I think that my third tip is do what works for you. Like, you're used to holding your brush in a certain way, but that does not mean you can't hold your brush in a different way. I know there are tons of nail techs who don't even work on themselves doing their non-dominant hand. They will have someone else do that. Working with their non-dominant hand on their dominant hand, they will have someone else do it for them. And that totally makes sense. And if you don't like how it looks, you maybe it even looks more consistent if you have someone else doing it. But in my case, I'm gonna have two different nail sets on my hands. As you can see on my dominant hand there, I do have I'm sorry, on the non-dominant hand that's holding the brush right now, you can see that I do have nail tips on that. So after I do this set, I will be working on another New Year's set, and I think that one came out really cute as well. This hand and that hand, they're different, but they're both me. They are kitchen sink nails. I call kitchen sink nails because they have everything but the kitchen sink in them. I like rivets. I like gel paint. I like 3D nail art. I like it all. I like the nails to be like partially matte sometimes. I like doing different things. But as I'm working with my non-dominant hand on my dominant hand, I did want to make these nails look a little bit simpler by making the base just this pink color. This pink color is Cover Pink, and it is by Mia Secret. It does have like some shiny bits in it, and I think it's really, really good as a cover color. I think it's really great as a nail bed color, and I think it works really well with my skin tone. As you can see there, it's like, I don't know, maybe slightly peachy, but it's not like a really bright pink, and then it has some shimmer in it. So it's really a great color that can be used without gel paint or anything on top of it. You could just go with this color alone, and it would look very, very pretty with a little bit of chrome powder. These would be great glazed donut nails. I mean, this is just a really pretty color. I didn't say it before, but I am using Mia Secret Monomer on this set as well. I did do this with a size 14 Kolinsky brush. Now, fun stuff. Time for the file shaping and buffing. When I am shaping with my non-dominant hand here, I generally hold the file straight and I move my other hand. Does that make sense? I'll hold the file straight and I'll move my hand to file the nail rather than moving the nail file. And I do that because I feel like I have more control. I do the same thing kind of with my e-file, but like I said, do what works for you. And if it's not what you do with the other hand, it is totally okay. Just, do what works for you, because the consistency between the hands is really in the work and the quality of work, and not necessarily how you're using the tools. So yeah, see, I hold the e-file funny too. Look at that. And even though I am moving the e-file back and forth, I am also moving my hand a lot. I'm not really keeping my hand steady as I would if the e-file was in the other hand. I do that because, I need all the help I can get. Back to this nail set. I am, for the most part, working with a fine grit sanding band as I am filing these nails. And that is because the sanding bands are softer. And as I'm going around the cuticle area, because I know that I am a little wonky with my non-dominant hand, I'm using a sanding band because I know I'm not going to cut myself with this. That's another tip. But if you need a drill bit that is harder, you can use the one that I'm using now, which is a barrel bit, and it is of a, I'm sorry, I think I'm still using the sanding band, but I do use a barrel bit to go around my cuticles a little bit, and I do that to crispen up the shape. But if you want to do that portion with a hand file, you can do that with a hand file as well. Nail filing. After filing, we're gonna buff. I love buffing my nails because after you have buffed them, you touch your nails and they're just so smooth. It's so satisfying. Oddly satisfying. Does anybody else still watch oddly satisfying videos? I consider nail videos to be oddly satisfying. From watching acrylic being laid to watching the filing, it is just satisfying to see the before and after. I love it. So I am holding the buffer steady and moving my hand a lot, and that is how I get my nails where I like them to be. After that, I'm going in with some swipe and a lint-free wipe to go ahead and do this design with the gel polish. I'm going to be doing a French tip on my thumb, my pointer, and my pinky nail. I applied some matte top coat before I go ahead and do this. And then on my ring finger, it's going to be a full nail of black. And then I'm going to be going over that with black gel paint and some clear acrylic, because that's going to be a little bit of a sweater nail. And then after I do the French tips on those fingers, I'm going to go in with some gold gel paint to do a little bit of some line work across the nails that have the French nail design. And on the middle finger, as you saw, I just put in a few swipes of black, and now I'm adding some gold foil onto that nail just as a little accent, just a little razzle dazzle, you know what I'm saying, just a little razzle dazzle. After that, I will be going in with some shiny top coat across that nail just to seal in the gold foil, and that nail will be finished. Now, it took me a while to do these French tips. I'm not sure why, but it could have just been simply because I was working with my non-dominant hand, but it took me a while. I just was not liking how it was coming out. I wanted to do an elongated nail bed, and I don't always do that whenever I do French tips, but I wanted that this time. So I did do the elongated nail bed, and I gave myself grace because these French tips did not have to be perfect. Why is that? Because I'm going to be covering them slightly whenever I do the gold gel paint. So if you're working on someone else's hands, I wouldn't say, oh, remember, you don't have to be perfect, but give yourself grace, because French tips are really hard, even when you are working with your dominant hand. But whenever you're working with your non-dominant hand, really give yourself grace, because you can cover imperfections. Now for the line work. So I'm going to be doing a thicker gold line here. It's going to be a squiggly kind of line. It's meant to look a little bit like a ribbon. And then on either side of the thicker line, I'm going to do smaller lines. And I was really happy with how this nail came out. I'm looking at it on my hand right now as I speak. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning as I was doing these nail sets. And so, yeah, I was like, ooh, in the morning I'm going to see what I did and I'm going to be mad at myself. But it wasn't like that. This nail came out very, very cute. And take a look at my other hand there. You see, I was doing a white and gold set. That white and gold set is going to have silver in it as well. And I think that nail set came out really, really pretty. So stay tuned for that video. Now, here we are doing the stripes on the pointer finger as well. Again, there's going to be a thicker line in the middle, and it's going to be surrounded by 2 thinner lines to look kind of like some ribbons. And thinking back now, these lines were probably the easiest part to do of this nail set. After I finish these lines, I'm going to go in to do the sweater nail that's going to be on my ring finger. And I found it really hard to do. I don't know if I was just being indecisive and I didn't know what I wanted my sweater nail to look like, but I tried it like 3 or 4 times before I finally decided on the design that I used. Again, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, so maybe, I needed to go to sleep. Maybe that's what that was. But anyways, stay tuned. Check out this sweater nail and see the final look of this nail set. If you have any other tips for working on your dominant hand with your non-dominant hand, please let me know down below. I would love to know how you do things differently. For me, it's mainly about holding my brushes differently. If I need to use my dominant hand more, I'll just transfer the brush into that hand and do what I can. And I also give myself grace. Not that my nails are going to look bad on that hand, but I go in with a great attitude ahead of time because I know it's going to be harder than it would be if I was using my other hand. Anyways, if you have any tips, leave them down below. Stay tuned for the final look at this nail set, and I will see you in my next upload. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.